Firstly, the regulations were of 2008 vintage, revised in 2024 owing to the committee which was formed and with multiple stakeholder interactions. One of the elements which was not existing earlier was the amphibious category training or the rating, and this was incorporated in the new regulations, wherein credit of amphibious training was included for obtaining the seaplane ratings. The earlier regulations involved an individual having to undertake or obtain the mandatory land rating on the type of aircraft before he would obtain a seaplane rating. The revised regulations removed the mandatory land rating clause. Owing to this, fresh commercial pilot license holders of the block can straightaway obtain their seaplane ratings. This will ensure ready availability of pilots for seaplane operations. Additionally, the training can now be undertaken at any ICAO approved institute or organization in the world. To ensure self-sustainability and Atmanirbharta, experienced operators the earlier operations manual for the operators was exhaustive and had requirements akin to a non-scheduled or a scheduled operator. The revised regulations relaxed the operational requirements as well as simplified the operations manual. This will lead to simplified certification process for the operators. Check pilots requirements were also relaxed with simplified requirements. This will ensure that pilots can be trained within the country by the operator. The minimum experience requirements earlier defined were separate for the captain and the co-pilot. A relaxed or easier way of a combined cockpit experience has been introduced so that the operations can be kick-started at an easier note. Water drone. This has been dispensed with and no water drone license is required, and minimum safety requirements have been specified to facilitate the seaplane operations. Clearances, permissions which were required earlier from 7 authorities have been reduced to 2, with only clearance required from the owner of the site and the local authority of the proposed site. This will ensure reduced compliance requirements and facilitate seaplane operations in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Koshi, for such an informative presentation of the work done by DGCA in simplifying the seaplane regulations. I now request Shri Shankhesh Mehta, Director MoCA, to deliver his presentation on seaplane guidelines and way forward. Mr. Shankhesh Mehta, Director.
A very good afternoon, Honorable Minister of Civil Aviation, Honorable Minister of State for Civil Aviation and Cooperation, Secretary MoCA, DGCA, Joint Secretary MoCA. Sir, I take your permission to begin the presentation. Well, this presentation is aimed at informing the audience about the context, the premise, and largely the basic structure of the guidelines for seaplane operations under UDAN that have been formulated by the Ministry and which will be soon launched by the Honorable Minister. In order to arrive at the context, we'll take a brief detour into the history of seaplane operations in this country. In 2011, the Andaman government, in collaboration with PHL, had made an attempt for seaplane operations. It continued for about 6 months. And thereafter in Udan, the emphasis on seaplane operations was sort of renewed, and seaplanes were included in the bidding rounds. I mean, seaplane routes were included in the bidding rounds. As a result of which, in 2020, the first seaplane route under RCS commenced between Sabarmati in Gujarat and Statue of Unity, that is Kevadia, again in Gujarat. That operation also remained in operation for a brief period of time. Thereafter, in subsequent Udan rounds, continued efforts were made so as to award seaplane routes and to see them in operation. But due to various challenges, as my colleague had previously explained in the car presentation, the multiple clearances that were required, the multiple agencies that were involved, the higher level of compliance to regulations that was required, the licensing progress could not achieve the pace that was expected. And to break that logjam, both the ministry and the DGCA undertook intensive deliberations. It is the outcome of these deliberations, sir, that DGCA came up with the liberalized CAR, the civil aviation regulations we recently saw. And to capitalize on these liberalized CARs, the ministry has formulated these guidelines. Now, these guidelines, of course, have a twofold objective. The primary objective is, under UDAN, the operations are largely scheduled. And scheduled operations happen from licensed airstrips or airports. Licensing of water aerodromes itself was becoming a challenge. So, the approach that was devised was to promote non-scheduled operations, that is NSOP operations, under UDAN, using the new CAR that was launched by DGCA. The second objective was to ensure that these NSOP operations are as safe, as secure as the scheduled operations would be. And this required that the stakeholders who are involved in the operationalization of a water aerodrome, in operation of those seaplane routes, have their responsibilities clearly demarcated. And it is in this attempt that MoCA formulated these guidelines. These guidelines have also been drawn from the success of the helicopter operations that have happened under our NSOP Plus regime. So, capitalizing on that, these guidelines stipulate responsibilities for the owners, operators of the water aerodromes, which are in most cases to be the state governments or the union territories. The state governments would be required to ensure that all the permissions, the statutory clearances that would be required for seaplane operations in their state at any site that they propose are obtained by them. They would be required to ensure that once a site is identified, its bathymetry OLS is taken care of, and then the requirements of those water aerodromes in compliance with the annexure to DGCA CAR are put in place. They would also be required to ensure that the site is well protected. It is, from unauthorized boats, people. They would have to nominate a water aerodrome manager. They will have to ensure that the ticket sale, the publicity of the publishing of those schedules of those flights is done by them. They will also have to ensure the security as prescribed by the BCAS template and their norms for these water aerodromes. Refueling arrangements have to be made at those water aerodrome sites. States would also be responsible to ensure that passenger amenities and facilitation related requirements are complied with, which would include sufficient space for ticketing, checking area, waiting area, secure SHA, and related passenger amenities like drinking water, toilets. The next important stakeholder in the water aerodrome operationalization or seaplane operations for that matter is the airline operator himself. The airline operator would be, of course, required to ensure that the aircraft that is being brought for operations is DGCA accepted or type rated, and it has both the pilot and the crew which are in compliance with the DGCA revised regulations, which the colleague has just explained. The continuing airworthiness of the organization has also to be ensured. Then they have to operate on those flights which they would have committed at the time of bidding for those routes. And besides this, they will have to ensure that any disruption, any degradation in the facility is duly informed to the owner of the water aerodrome and to MoCA as well. The aircraft has to be maintained by a DGCA approved maintenance organization. They will have to ensure that there is sufficient arrangement for picketing, mooring of the seaplane. They'll have to put in place a standard operating procedure and safety risk assessment as per DGCA regulations. Besides this, they'll also have to ensure the escort of the passengers, the crew briefing room and other related facilities. MoCA on its part will ensure that the routes are bidded out and are awarded. And on the awarded routes, once the SAO, the selected airline operator, commences the operations, the VGF is timely paid. MoCA will also monitor the performance of the airline operator and will ensure that all other related concessions that are due on account of the implementation of the RCS scheme for these seaplane routes are availed by the SAO. And wherever the SAO violates the provisions of the scheme, necessary action as per the provisions of the scheme would be taken. So this is where this is the basic structure of and the key features of the guidelines formulated by MoCA, and with the expectation that this would enthuse our NSOP industry friends to participate and take forward the seaplane revolution that MoCA intends to bring in. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta, Director MoCA, for such a valuable information of the steps taken by Ministry to expedite commencement of seaplane operations in the country. It would be quite appropriate now to have our seaplane manufacturers present their views. I request Shri Yogesh Garg from De Havilland, Canada, to make the presentation on dynamics of seaplane operations. Shri Yogesh Garg from De Havilland, Canada.
Good afternoon, Honorable Minister of State. Hello. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Aviation Minister. Good afternoon, Minister of State. Good afternoon, Sir Secretary. Good afternoon, Joint Secretary, sir. Good afternoon, GG, sir. It's an honor to be here to present De Havilland Twin Otter on this stage. As we all know that DGCA MoCA has been working on policy for last 1 year, and there has been a lot of changes in the policy, and now we have a policy which will definitely start the seaplane operation in India, much awaited. So now we only need an aircraft. So I will just present about De Havilland Twin Otter and its capability and how this aircraft can add value to Indian seaplane operations. I will just start with a video just to show how a seaplane operates. So Twin Otter is one of the most versatile seaplane or amphibious aircraft ever been produced. This is the only aircraft which is a twin engine, and it's so versatile that this aircraft can be converted into a land plane, seaplane, or amphibious aircraft within matter of hours. And if you see why we need a seaplane in India and what makes it special that India aspires to be a place where a seaplane is. If you see Maldives, where we have around 108 seaplanes flying, which is just a small island. There are around 1,200 islands. Now we have two archipelages where Andaman Nicobar, which is just double of Maldives. It can not only help us to boost tourism, but also the connectivity between the islands. It also helps us in terms of expanding the mails or freight services or humanitarian ground aids. If there's a disaster, it can help us to provide a disaster management in that particular area. Like just for instance, for going from Port Blair to Campbell Bay, it takes around 12 hours to 18 hours by a ferry. In a seaplane, you would be only taking 40 to 45 minutes. So it helps us to reduce a lot of time. The commuting time between the islands can really be helpful. Just there's a medical emergency in any island right now, they have to wait for 20 to 48 hours, and depending on the tides, it might take longer. But seaplane can help to bring the passengers there back to the mainland and for medical. Plus, we have a 7,500 kilometers long coastline, so we can connect a lot of resorts along the coastline with seaplanes. Not only this, we can also connect the coastline or the island from the land by using an amphibious, flying from a land airport and landing into whether it is a dam, barrage, or a river, or on the sea. In terms of if you talk about de Havilland, so de Havilland almost have around 95% of the commercial seaplane market in the world. Right now we have over 800 seaplane flying, and de Havilland has been making seaplanes from last 75 years. The oldest aircraft what we have is a Beaver, which was the first seaplane, a single engine, and now we have a twin engine. So we have been having experience for manufacturing seaplanes for last 75 years now. If we talk about the versatility, same plane can be converted into a VIP or a special mission or a single class or a medevac or a cargo within matter of 1 to 2 hours. You can just remove seats and you can convert into a different configuration, so that the operator has a flexibility to convert into different missions. And the other good thing, since India is growing and there will be a lot of seaplanes coming in, it is very important that maneuverability of the aircraft is important, because if we have 10-15 seaplanes parked at a water aerodrome, it is very difficult for a single engine plane to turn or do a U-turn. So with a twin engine, you can see a video how seaplane can use differential thrust and can move around at its place. A 360 degree, can do a left, can you do a right, can do a reverse also, which help us to reduce congestion on the water aerodromes. And just for an example, right now one of the places in Malé, we do almost 600 takeoff and landing in 10 hours of operation. So you can imagine how busy the airport can be. So, and India is moving towards it, so it's very important that how the aircraft is chosen and how it will help to reduce the congestion. I think the audio is not coming. So basically the aircraft can automatically move towards right, or it can move towards left depending on the differential thrust. It can do a 360 at its own place without taking a U-turn, or it can do a reverse also. So the infrastructure cost for a seaplane is very low. We just need a floating jetty and we can start operation. It doesn't need to be built a big water dome or all. And people had a concern on the maintenance. So seaplanes are so easy. You just need a kind of a small hangar, or a crane can lift a 10-ton crane can lift an aircraft, and you can bring out of the water for maintenance. So that's a very easy, and a lot of operator does all their maintenance on their own. And I will choose why Twin Otters. It's the best amphibian aircraft. It has the exceptional airfield performance. It can take off, it has a stall capability, which means it can take off with 350 to 400 meters of runway. It's a very efficient design. It's been there for last 50 years. It has the versatility and the operational flexibility. And for nothing to say, OEM has been there for last 96 years now, and we will be there for next 100 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yogesh, for taking us through dynamics of seaplane operations. Let us hear from another manufacturer. I request Mr. Gopi Reddy to make the presentation on dynamics of seaplane operations. Mr. Gopi Reddy.
Thank you, ma'am. Jai Hind, everyone. Honorable Union Minister, Minister of State, Secretary, and distinguished leaders on the stage, and distinguished guests around the auditorium. Thank you very much, Jai Hind, one and all. Myself, Gopi Reddy. I'm the board member of Amphibian Aerospace Industries. I'll start with a video so you get a better context of what our aircraft is.
Amphibian Aerospace Industries introduces the vanguard of regional air mobility, Albatross 2.0. The world's only FAA-certified transport category regional air mobility amphibian aircraft. Boasting a 24-seat capacity and a 188-centimeter full standing height cabin, this aviation marvel redefines capacity, promising grandeur and efficiency in every flight. With a remarkable useful load of 6,500 pounds, complete with a dedicated luggage compartment, unparalleled by any seaplane.
Boasting a functional washroom and a fully equipped galley, a luxury unseen in any seaplane. The Albatross carries a deep-rooted and distinguished legacy and pedigree. Its predecessor, Albatross 1.0, has been the guardian of the skies for over 4 decades, serving coast guards, navies, and air forces of 18 proud nations globally. This aviation masterpiece can effortlessly ascend and descend on land, water, snow, and even turbulent seas, revolutionizing the future of regional air mobility. Albatross.
So, we just heard from an esteemed aircraft manufacturer, Viking de Havilland. So we're one of the 8 OEMs in the transport category, RPT, Registered Passenger Transport sector. So while these are the type certificates, so above 19 seats in the FAA certified category amphibious aircraft, Albatross 2.0 will hold a monopoly because there is no amphibian aircraft certified by FAA which is above 19 seats. So Albatross 2.0 is a 28-seat max, but in the 28-seat configuration, there will not be a hot galley, but there'll be a full functioning bathroom and everything that helps above 30-minute flight journeys, as you can understand that in the scheduled and unscheduled charters. we could expect all sorts of guests from various age groups. The target demographics could be infant to women of all ages, men and pregnant women, and so on and so forth. So we must take into wide considerations why a functioning washroom and a full standing cabin height is extremely important. So these are the various categories. It serves multiple markets and market segments, such as military, general aviation, commercial, and government. But just focusing on the commercial variant here, as mentioned, it's max 28 seats, but the galley is available up to 24 seats only, with a maximum commercially certified range of 600 nautical miles and a cargo certified range of up to 1,200 nautical miles full load. And the cargo full load is up to 5 tons, which is one of its kind in the amphibious capability, with a proven service ceiling, as you see, 10,000 feet, and so on and so forth. Historically, Albatross with a military DNA was eventually civilianized from HU-16 to G-111 per FAA parlance. So one of the configurations that we're very keen in particular is a aeromedical configuration, as it can carry 12 casualty evacuations, full stretchers. It's a plug-and-play mechanism that we're working on. So with a lot of partners such as Pratt & Whitney, turboprop PD6A engines, Hartzell propellers, and landing gear by HTA, and so on and so forth, we're very confident that as the 1.0 was the safest aircraft in the amphibious category for both military and civil, we are very confident that once in production very soon, and you will see where we are going to produce and what our role will be in India as well. Economically, because it's a max 28 seats, 600 nautical miles range, full standing cabin height, the functionality and versatility is quite comfortable, at the same time very flexible for operators as well. What do we mean by that? The RASK and CASK, the revenue per square kilometer, and seat and cost is very efficient. So Western operational parlance, we look at $2,800 per hour operations cost. So just to give an example, my home in India is Goa now. So that's why I just gave an example of Goa here. So Goa to Lakshadweep, it's a 5-hour journey to Lakshadweep. But we're looking at directly getting to the resort because the Albatross capability, that it has a retractable gear. So So the retractable gear helps you to directly land and just dock onto the shore if there is no water dome available. So this will be our manufacturing facility in Maryland, USA, where we plan to manufacture 50 aircrafts. But at the same time, we've also taken all necessary approvals from relevant departments in FAA and the US State Department to eventually, hopefully, manufacture in India with support of Ministry of Civil Aviation and few industry partners that we're working with. So this is a planned regional center of excellence where we also aspire to give amphibious training in collaboration with ITPS Canada, which is the world's largest amphibious training school, and they've already visited Goa very recently. And we've signed an MOU to do an exclusive training programs in India for amphibious aircrafts. So this is the aircraft. You can understand the scale of the aircraft with people sitting under the wings. So we hope that MoCA continues to support us, and we hope to also extend our supply chain partnerships to India, and we hope that we find new home and new states where we can extend manufacturing, such as wing sections and fuselages. So thank you very much, distinguished guests and stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gopi. Indeed, we have the right regulations and guidelines in place. The manufacturers have showcased their readiness. It seems to be only a matter of time when the seaplanes soar high in the sky of Indian aviation. In the light of this, I request Secretary MoCA to address the gathering.
Honorable Minister Civil Aviation, Shri Kinjarappu Ram Mohan Naidu, Honorable Minister of State for Civil Aviation and Cooperation, Shri Murlidhar Mohol, Director General of Civil Aviation, Shri Vikram Dev Dutt, senior officers from the Ministry of Civil Aviation, our organizations, Alliance Air, Pawan Hans, and other organizations, our industry colleagues, representatives from the various ministries and the state governments, and all the interested stakeholders, friends from the media. We just saw presentation by two manufacturers, de Havilland and the manufacturer of the Albatross. I would like to, at the outset itself, just mention that those were presented or those were brought in sort of as a means of introducing us to amphibian aircraft. We know that there are other manufacturers also, and in MoCA we support the entire industry, everyone who is interested, everyone who is there. So really just to clarify that it was just to give a flavor, in fact for myself also to understand in fact how it flies, how it takes off and everything. So we saw those two. I think it was useful for the audience also. It is really just an eye-opener into this very interesting segment of aviation. So I want to make that very clear. Other manufacturers, other operators, other organizations who are interested, we are here to promote each and everyone, anyone interested in promoting aviation in India, we are here to support one and all. As we are in this program to launch the streamlined guidelines for the seaplane operations under the RCS UDAN, I am very happy to note, as the earlier speakers have also mentioned, that we have a good foundation of success in the RCS UDAN. It has been a path-breaking scheme which has provided connectivity to different corners of our country. Over 500 routes have taken up. In fact, on the point that is mentioned sometimes, over 100 routes have sustained beyond the 3 years. So the scheme has managed to create new routes. Some of them are in fact thriving commercial routes now, and people from all corners of our country are now aspiring to have air connectivity. I think it's a real success. And I mention this because what we are launching today is one of the building blocks to that effort to improve regional connectivity. Some places will have bigger airports, some places will have medium-sized airports, and we realized that with our large country, different kinds of water bodies, the seashore, the rivers, the seaplane would also be a very useful air connectivity platform. So therefore, it's a very happy occasion, and with the streamlining of the car by the DGCA, we thank the DGCA, DG himself and his team. They have been very proactive. They have been supportive of the initiative, the connectivity concerns, and also the guidelines that have just been presented for the operation of seaplanes under the RCS UDAN. I'm confident that seaplanes will fill up one more important element in providing connectivity to the citizens of this great country. At this point, I'd like to also mention that it is also based on the foundation of our experience in the RCS UDAN helicopter routes, where we introduced the concept of NSOP Plus, which is somewhere in between a scheduled commercial operation and a non-scheduled operation. And we have seen from experience that our dedicated helicopter operators, the helipad and heliport owners and local authorities and the regulatory agencies, we have had a very smooth progress in the helicopter connectivity. And that is something that we would like to build upon as we launch today this seaplane operations. We are confident that that experience gives us both the confidence and also the optimism that we can make this a success. We can link up different parts of the country. especially with the amphibian aircraft which can land both on the water body and on the land airports. I believe that the connectivity potential is tremendous. It will have an exponential kind of impact. We will all work together. I urge everyone to support, and I request the state governments who are there, please identify the water bodies which you have in your respective states and union territories. We will find how to activate them. We are here to handhold. The DGCA team with all the technical expertise is here. The BCAS team is there, while keeping the safety and security always in our horizon. We will see that every part of our country, every citizen gets better connection, better connectivity through various modes of air travel. Thank you very much. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your deep and valuable insights. Now I would like to request the guest of honor, Shri Muralidhar Mohol, Honorable Minister of State for Civil Aviation and Cooperation, for his address.
मंच पर उपस्थित माननीय नागर विमानन मंत्री श्री मोहन नायडू जी, नागर विमानन मंत्रालय के सचिव श्री उलम जी, मंत्रालय के हमारे सभी अधिकारीगण, डीजीसीए, बीसीएस और एयरपोर्ट अथॉरिटी के सभी अधिकारी, मीडिया के सभी मित्र और सभी उपस्थिति का बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। मुझे आज सीप्लेन दिशा निर्देशों के शुभारंभ के अवसर पर यहाँ हम सभी को आकर बहुत खुशी हुई है। आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के संकल्प के अनुसार पूरे भारत में क्षेत्रीय और रिमोट कनेक्टिविटी बढ़ाने की हमारी यात्रा में एक महत्वपूर्ण कदम है। कश्मीर से कन्याकुमारी तक और कच्छ से अरुणाचल तक प्रकृति का बहुत बड़ा वरदान हमारे देश को प्राप्त हुआ है। इसका एक और महत्वपूर्ण अंग है हमारे समुद्र और समुद्र तट है। समुद्र और समुद्र तटों की सामान्य लोगों को नागरिक सुविधा से जोड़ने की क्षमता विलक्षण है। इसी क्षमता का उपयोग अब नागरिक विमानन के लिए करने का आविष्कार हमारी सरकार ने किया है। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में आज उड़ान योजना में माड़ी से हवाई चप्पल पहनने वाले नागरिक भी हवाई यात्रा का आज लाभ उठा रहे हैं। किफायती दरों में देश के कोने कोने तक हवाई यात्रा उपलब्ध कराना हमारी सरकार का प्रमुख प्रयास रहा है। विगत 10 सालों में देश में मोदी सरकार के माध्यम से 75 नए एयरपोर्ट बनाए गए और एक नया इतिहास रचा गया। नए एयरपोर्ट के साथ साथ जो पुराने एयरपोर्ट्स थे उनको भी रिन्यूएट किया गया, नवीनीकरण उनका किया गया। देश भर में पिछले 10 साल का अगर हम देखते हैं तो पूरे देश में आज 469 नए हवाई रास्तों की निर्माण भी इसी समय में किया गया। एविएशन सेक्टर में क्रांति लाने का ध्येय यहीं पर सीमित न रखकर हम अभी सीप्लेन का भी विकास करने जा रहे हैं। जैसे कि हम सब जानते हैं, उड़ान योजना के अंतर्गत सीप्लेन का स्वयं प्रचालन के प्रावधान का भी उसमें प्रावधान भी है। वर्ष 2020 में साबरमती रिवरफ्रंट और स्टैच्यू ऑफ यूनिटी के बीच सीप्लेन रूट की शुरुआत एक ऐतिहासिक क्षण था जो सीप्लेन की संभावना को दर्शाता है। हालांकि इस सेक्टर को विविध चुनौतियों का सामना भी करना पड़ा, जिसके कारण वाटर एयरड्रोम के विकास में बाधाएं भी आई है। इस चुनौतियों को समझकर अब सरकार ने सीप्लेन ऑपरेशन की निरंतरता और ग्रोथ को सुनिश्चित करने के लिए अधिक फ्लेक्सिबल और प्रैक्टिकल दृष्टिकोण अपनाया है। जिस प्रकार से आरसीएस योजना के अंतर्गत नॉन शेड्यूल ऑपरेटर्स परमिट से हेलीकॉप्टर्स और छोटे विमानों के ऑपरेशंस में सफलता आई है, उसी के आधार पर अब हमने सीप्लेन के भी गाइडलाइंस को तैयार किया है। ये गाइडलाइंस एक मजबूत और जिम्मेदार फ्रेमवर्क है जिससे सीप्लेन के ऑपरेशन में सुरक्षितता, सुलभता और कुशलता जरूर आएगी। हाल ही में हुए स्वतंत्रता समारोह के प्रोग्राम में लाल किले में भाषण में आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने पूरे देश को एक संदेश दिया और उन्होंने ये कहा था कि यदि हम 140 करोड़ भारतीय एक संकल्प कर ले, एक दिशा में, एक कदम में, तो चाहे कितनी भी चुनौतियां आए, हमारा विकसित भारत 2047 का संकल्प बिल्कुल साकार होकर रहेगा। विकसित भारत के इस सपने को सत्य करने में सिविल एविएशन सेक्टर की भूमिका महत्वपूर्ण है। इसलिए हम केवल एयरपोर्ट्स, एरोप्लेन्स और हेलीकॉप्टर्स में सीमित न रहते हुए ड्रोन, सीसी प्लेन्स और जैसे आविष्कारों में भी विकसित करना चाहते हैं। उस दिशा में ये गाइडलाइंस और आज का ये कार्यक्रम देश के दूर दूर तक के स्थानों तक हवाई सेवाएं पहुंचाने में हमारे प्रयासों का एक नया अध्याय है। इन गाइडलाइंस को बनाने के प्रयास में शामिल हमारे सभी जो लोग हमारे इसका टीम में है, उनका सबका मैं यहाँ पर अभिनंदन भी करता हूँ तथा उनको धन्यवाद भी देता हूँ। आई एम कॉन्फिडेंट दैट वी विल कंटिन्यू टू वर्क 24/7 for 2047 under Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's leadership and bring revolution in aviation sector। मुझे लगता है कि हम सब एक साथ प्रयास करेंगे तो पूरे भारत को विश्व का सबसे बड़ा और मजबूत एविएशन सेक्टर बनाने में हम सफल होंगे। ये विश्वास भी यहाँ पे मैं व्यक्त करता हूँ। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
माननीय मंत्री महोदय का हार्दिक धन्यवाद। Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to unfold the initiatives that Ministry has taken to make seaplane flight a reality in India. I request Honorable Chief Guest and to join him Honorable Guest of Honor and dignitaries on dais to officially launch the guidelines for seaplane operations under UDAN. Coming to the next big initiative, the demonstration flights of seaplane by Messrs. De Havilland, tentatively in the first week of October, I request Honorable Chief Guest to press the button and unveil the route map of seaplane demonstration flights. Adding another feather to the cap of RCS Udan is the launch of another round, a special Udan round of predetermined routes to bridge the gap of connectivity and taking flying to unserved areas. Now I would request Honorable Chief Guest to launch Udan round 5.4 by pressing the remote button. What an afternoon of initiatives, with MoCA taking long strides in the development of aviation sector. It's now my privilege to invite the Honorable Union Minister of Civil Aviation, Shri Ram Mohan Naidu Kinjarapu. Honorable Union Minister for Civil Aviation, sir.
Thank you. Andariki namaskaram. Honorable Minister of State Civil Aviation, Muralidhar Maholji, our Secretary Ministry of Civil Aviation, Vimlunmang Vualamji, DGCA Vikram Devdapji and Joint Secretary Asangbaji, and all the distinguished guests and colleagues from the Ministry, DGCA, BCAS, AI, representatives from these respected state governments and union territories, NSOP operators, OEMs, lessors, and esteemed friends from the media, a warm good evening and a warm welcome to each and every one of you to be here. It is with great pleasure and pride that I welcome you all to this momentous occasion, which is the launch of Seaplane guidelines under the Regional Connectivity Scheme, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik. Today marks a significant milestone in the evolution of our nation's civil aviation and transport sector. As we embark on this great journey to unlock the vast potential of seaplanes in transforming connectivity across the diversity of this great country. As we stand together today, it is crucial to reflect on the journey that has brought us here, acknowledging the challenges we have encountered along the way. If you remember, our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, in the year 2020, he wanted to introduce and promote the idea of seaplanes in the country. And it was then that he launched the route between Sabarmati riverfront in Ahmedabad and the Statue of Unity in Kevadia. This was in 2020. But since then, there have been some challenges in running the seaplane operations. We were met with some unforeseen challenges. The complexities of securing regulatory approvals were there, and the technical intricacies of constructing water-based infrastructure and the need for seamless coordination among multiple stakeholders presented significant hurdles at that time, which inevitably reduced the progress which we wanted to make in the seaplane sector. However, when we explored these challenges, we saw them not as setbacks, but as valuable lessons that informed our strategy for moving forward. They underscored the need for a comprehensive and adaptable framework, one that could address the unique demands of seaplane operations in India's diverse landscape. The experiences gained from that time have shaped the guidelines that we are releasing today, ensuring that they are both practical, responsive to the realities that we are facing on the ground. Today we take a crucial step forward by launching the guidelines under the RCS Udan, and this framework is a result of careful planning, extensive consultation, and a commitment to overcome the challenges that we earlier faced. We have drawn inspiration from the success of NCOP operations in small plane sector and especially helicopters under the RCS scheme, adapting those learnings and trying to put them to the seaplane sector also. The guidelines we present today prioritize the safety and security of operations above all. They clearly outline the responsibilities of each stakeholder, from the operators to the regulatory bodies, ensuring a seamless and efficient rollout of seaplane services across the nation. Our approach is not merely about setting up rules, but it is also about creating an enabling environment where innovation can also thrive and where the full potential of seaplanes is actually realized in this country. Seaplanes hold the opportunity of revolutionizing connectivity in regions where conventional airport infrastructure is not feasible due to obvious land constraints that we are facing. Imagine a future where seaplanes seamlessly integrate with our existing aviation network, providing last mile connectivity to regions that have remained isolated due to geographical challenges. This new mode of transportation will not only offer faster and more comfortable travel to those areas, but also open up new avenues for economic growth, particularly in the tourism sector. Seaplanes can play a pivotal role in connecting various religious and tourist destinations of this country, offering a unique travel experience that will attract both domestic and also international holiday makers. This in turn is going to generate a lot of employment, stimulate tourism, and contribute significantly to the GDP of this country. While tourism and passenger ferrying are our primary focus, seaplanes in India can also be valuable for research, for environmental monitoring, coastal resource management, and many other wide areas of research. They can also play a crucial role in national disaster relief time, coastal and island defense, and patrolling and surveillance missions along our extensive maritime boundaries. India is uniquely positioned to leverage the potential of seaplane operations with its extensive coastline, which is up to the tune of 7,500 kilometers, a vast network of rivers and lakes, and more than 1,300 islands. And some of these islands are much bigger than Singapore also. Our vision is to unlock this potential, transform our coastlines, rivers, lakes from barriers into corridors of connectivity, avenues of economic opportunity, and pathways to inclusive development. We are not just introducing a new mode of transport, but we are setting the stage for a revolution in how we want to connect our people. We imagine a future where seaplanes link the bustling metropolis of Mumbai with the serene backwaters of Kerala, or when they bridge the remote islands of the Andaman and Nicobar with the mainland cities of this country. Picturing the stunning landscapes of the northeast, the pristine lakes of Kashmir, and the unspoiled beauty of our coastal region, these are some of the grand connectivity scope that we have by providing the seaplane operations. India's largest river systems such as the Ganga, Brahmaputra, Godavari, and Krishna, along with large lakes like the Dal Lake in Jammu and Kashmir, Vembanad Lake in Kerala, Chilka in Orissa, Pulikat in Andhra Pradesh, Loktak Lake in Manipur. There are numerous potential water-based routes for the seaplanes that we can explore in the coming future. These routes can offer groundbreaking solution for improving tourism traffic, connecting popular destinations like Goa, Kerala, backwaters, Andhra Konasima region is there, and also the lakes of Rajasthan. And in regions across India, such as the northeastern states, the Western Ghats, and the Himalayas, the challenging terrain makes the construction of traditional airports a little bit more difficult and also expensive. But imagine seaplanes, which is a very practical and innovative solution, bypassing these obstacles and by utilizing rivers and lakes for landing and takeoff. We have seen right now that 200 acres of land, when we're trying to build an aircraft, we have the challenge in those airports also that we can only run aircrafts which are 19-seater or 20-seater or much lesser than that. But when you see these water bodies, just by creating that minimum infrastructure where you can just get into the plane and exit the plane, you are able to run the more 20-seater, 24, we have seen AI also presenting a 24-seater aircraft. So imagine the kind of connectivity that you can give just by having that water body in that location, even if it is remote, even if it is geographically a tough terrain. So the kind of possibilities is for us to explore, and sky is the limit here. And our vision of Indian aviation is centered around a robust hub and spoke model. With Delhi, we want to have it as a primary hub, and also we are exploring many other airports, especially in the southern part of India, to have many more major hubs also. And in this hub and spoke model, seaplanes become the vital network of providing the spokes, and where they function for giving the exclusive connectivity, the last mile connectivity to these remote parts of the country, and also strengthening the hub and spoke model that we want to create in the coming days in this country. This approach will also strengthen the aviation network and also keep us very strongly connected and explore the full potential of civil aviation sector in this country. And recognizing the pressing need for flexible and practical approach to realizing this vision, we have diligently formulated the guidelines for seaplane NSOP operations under the RCS UDAN scheme. And I have to admit today that RCS UDAN scheme is also a revolutionary scheme, not just for Indian operations, but also across the world. You wouldn't find any other scheme where a government is supporting air travel to such an extent where it is trying to create the infrastructure and also given viability gap funding for these unserved and underserved routes where government only becomes a partner and tries to encourage civil aviation sector. And that is the progress that you would have seen in the last 10 years. In 2014, the number of airports that we had, the number of connectivity points that we had, it almost doubled, and it's more than double also today in 2024 when we talk about civil aviation sector. And the basic backbone for all this increase has been the RCS UDAN network. So we have explored the possibilities of why not RCS UDAN network, which is only connecting the civil aviation planes today, extend it up to the helicopter sector also, extend it up to the seaplane sector also. And that was what was tried in 2020 when we wanted to explain the RCS scheme to the seaplane sector, but for some wide variety of reasons, there was not that much success as much as we had hoped. So then we spoke to the industry, then we spoke to the stakeholders in the industry, and whatever feedback that has come to us, we have tried to implement it, we have tried to make the necessary changes, and in addition to that, we are keeping the RCS UDAN scheme as still a major backbone to this promotion, and we want to see this time that it's going to flourish like one of the superior models that are there in the country, especially when people talked about Maldives also. That is purely driving the tourism sector there with 108 odd planes, and it is serving one sector primarily, which is the tourism sector. But in a country like India, which is hugely diverse and where there is a lot of potential, a lot of opportunities, not just for tourism, but there are many other sectors where seaplanes can come in and offer possible solutions, then it is for us, not just as the Government of India, Ministry of Civil Aviation, not just for the seaplane operators, I would take this moment to invite the state governments also, the union territories also, to actively pursue this idea on how to promote seaplane operations within their own state, within their own region, to connect those crucial points and to provide that last mile connectivity to the unserved regions of this country. And there is a need for us to improve this sector in a much, much bigger way. So each and everyone that is here, everyone has a very strong role to play, and we believe from our side, whatever necessary things is there to replenish this, rejuvenate this program, we are trying to do from our part. And I'd like to thank the DGC also, who are very, very diligent and very, very strict in the regulations that they keep, but they understand how important the seaplane network is for the success of this country. So that is how the car regulations that needed changes, DGC has been very, very flexible in trying to offer a very smoothened process for upgrading the seaplane network in this country. And the guidelines that we have today draw success from the NSOP operations for helicopters, like I've just mentioned, and also with safety and security, we are keeping these guidelines as the topmost responsibility for all stakeholders. And the RCS UDAN scheme, we are creating an environment that encourages private players also, because the major challenge we have observed for private players is the viability of that route. The route is very, very attractive on paper, but when it comes to operations, we have seen many a times that the viability gap funding becomes a very necessary point to address. And that is where we have seen for the regular routes, there are state governments trying to provide, there is RCS scheme which is trying to provide. So we are going to continue that. And we are seeing that this RCS UDAN scheme that is there for the present time was envisioned for 10 years. But because of the success that we have gained for RCS scheme, we from the ministry want to propose RCS 2.0, which is going to run for another 10 years also, and the ministry is strongly working for that. I'm telling this scheme because I want that confidence to be there with the private players, with the operators also, because I feel the necessity for this scheme to function in the long term also. So we are working on the scheme to be extended up to another 10 years, so we can have that kind of commitment happening from the Ministry of Civil Aviation. And private operators also, we encourage you to explore the length and breadth of this country, identify those high potential connectivity points and also the underserved points, maybe such as the Northeast or some of the unconnected islands of this country, and try to create those routes where we can all work together and make them viable in not just running the route for travel, but also creating those economic activity regions in those specific areas. And the VGF under the UDAN will also make it financially viable for you, ensuring that seaplane operations can sustain routes with lower passenger volumes or in nascent markets which are also very much required in the country. Safety, like I said, it always remains our topmost priority. No matter what we do, we are never going to compromise on the safety of a seaplane or the operations or the passenger that is traveling. So that is one commitment that we want to give from the meeting today also. So the guidelines that stipulate for the that we are stipulating for the seaplanes and certified by the DGCA will also ensure that this commitment towards the safety of the passenger is always there within us. And then I'm also confident that India is on the brink of becoming a self-reliant player in the civil aviation sector. And with the capability of designing, manufacturing and maintenance also strongly improve in this sector. And I can proudly say this because of the Bharatiya Vayuyan Videyak, which we passed in the Lok Sabha recently. We have addressed civil aviation as not just a travel mode, but also a sector where we can actually involve our country in designing, in manufacturing and also maintenance of aircrafts also, where it is a huge global industry. And right now the advantage is being taken by many other countries. So why not India? So that is the thought process we are bringing into civil aviation today. We want to design planes here. We want to manufacture planes here. We want to maintain the planes here. That is why for the MRO sector, the import GST slab which was there in many different slabs, there was when we were importing these parts from many other countries, some were listed as 5%, some were 8%, some were 12%, some were 15%, some were 18%. So there was a lot of confusion happening. But the central government, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, he has decided that we need to give MRO sector a big push. So the IGST has been reduced and one slab has been created, which is 5% today, which is going to boost the MRO sector in the coming days in the country. And we are expected to see the MRO sector double its operations in the coming 7 years from $2 billion industry to $4 billion industry. That is the potential MRO sector has today. But as we progress in the MRO sector also, I have a vision that I want to see India manufacture those planes also here. There is HOL which is working on it. There is NAL which is working on it. So the requirement there is we want to connect them with the private players where they can bring in the investment and they can set up their manufacturing industries also here. And not only for our internal consumption. When India starts manufacturing its planes, it's not going to be just for India to operate its own planes. It has to be for the world again. People need to come to India and buy planes from here. So this is the long-term plan we have in setting up manufacturing industries also here. And I was happy to see AI, which has presented its operations regarding its operations, that I would like to invite players like you to come and set up those manufacturing industries, especially in seaplane industries, where we will see a huge growth in the operations in the coming days. So that is one sector that we want to strongly push on, which is designing, manufacturing and maintaining of these aircrafts in the country also. And also, as we embark on this new journey, it is very important for us to look at countries which have successfully utilized this model of seaplane network. I've just taken the example of Maldives also. So just 108 planes targeting one specific industry, and it's become revolutionary for that country, and it has become viable also for that country. It has not only how the seaplane network is viable, but also the assistance that it gives to the tourism sector also. So that holistic approach, that ecosystem, creating that ecosystem around the seaplane routes, so that some additional benefit that we are able to do to that region, to that community, to that place is something we have to actively keep pursuing as we spread our network forward. And the seaplane industry in India needs a very favorable policy and environment, which is what we are trying to do from our side today by launching these guidelines. And our objective has always been to create supportive regulatory framework that prioritizes safety and reliability with fostering innovation and growth. The industry will provide significant employment opportunities. We have also discussed about that for pilots, for maintenance staff, for ground crews, and also focus on skilling local youth of this country for getting them attached to the seaplane network. And our vision extends to developing multimodal transport hubs also. And you will see this in the coming days, where we are trying to connect all the logistics together. Airports with the railway network, airports with the road network, where we are extending our network and providing one basic mode of transportation where you start from your home and you have a seamless logistical approach to reaching your destination. If you're starting from one remote place in this country, you have proper road network which connects you to the railway station or which connects you to the airport, and from there when you land at the destination you are still having that good network connectivity. So the whole complete model of multi-mode transport and logistics sector, we are looking at a point of view where the scheme of Gati Shakti also comes into play. So that is one approach that we are going to take in the coming days, that where all the sectors of the country, the transport modes get integrated and provide the seamless transition and seamless progress in travel in this country. And while we do this, we are committed towards the UN framework on climate change also. We realize that is an important sector where we need to keep ourselves vigilant on what we are going to do. And I'm very happy to say that most of the airports that we have today are very clean airports, in the sense that they are run on renewable energy, and we are converting whatever remaining airports are there, we are trying to convert them into clean energy. So we are always committed on environmental and climate change policy of the UN also. And under the visionary leadership, dynamic leadership of our Honorable Minister Narendra Modi ji, India is on a path of becoming Vikasit Bharat by 2047. And in this path of becoming Vikasit Bharat, we realize that civil aviation has a very important and huge role to play. Not just the role that is playing today. As we progress in the coming years, we see the civil aviation spreading its wings, spreading its network, and becoming more and more crucial for the growth of this country and for expanding its economic activity around the country. So in that sense of Vikasit Bharat, it is our commitment that we are going to become a self-reliant and a global leader in innovation from the side of Ministry of Civil Aviation. And the bold vision that is driving us today, the force that is driving us today to innovate, initiate, and also include is today's guidelines that we are releasing under Seaplane network. And we work towards connecting every corner of our country. We are not only just building infrastructure, we are building the foundations of a new India that is inclusive, prosperous, and fully integrated. The introduction of Seaplane operations is a testament to this vision, bringing us one step closer to realizing an India where every citizen has the opportunity to thrive no matter where they live. With the collective effort and cooperation of all the stakeholders that are present today, I am confident that we will witness the successful integration of seaplane operations into India's aviation landscape. This is not just about transportation, it is about economic development, job creation, and inclusive growth. Together, we will make seaplanes India's growth symbol, India's innovation and commitment for inclusive development. With these words, I would like to end my speech. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Sir, for your inspiring words and for launching the guidelines on seaplane operations under UDAN. We thank everyone present over here today with the shared motive, let's work together to make India's civil aviation sector soar to new heights. I would now request everyone to please proceed outside the auditorium for refreshments, and also please don't forget to collect your copy of guidelines booklet on your way out. Thank you.
Spring Boot is one of the most widely used technologies to build web applications in Java. Hi all, I welcome you all to this full course session on Spring Boot, and what follows is the